You know, I could have chosen any one of these stories about teachers saying awful things to their students about Donald Trump, but I chose this one. Teacher suspended in Connecticut over threatening to kill Trump voters considers entering politics. Because we got a problem with teachers in this country, and we should get rid of the Department of Education. We should return education to the states largely, and parents should largely consider being responsible for their children's education. This society is sick. The industrialization of education is a problem, and Donald Trump, I hope, can alleviate some of these issues. The problem stems from the fact that we used to teach our kids, and now we give our kids to the state. And it's causing lots of problems when the teachers are mentally deranged like this. Sorry if I'm being a little crass and crude in this segment, but this lady went way over the top. And there are still people, despite all of these stories about teachers being nuts, standing up and defending the institution. I will tell you this. I am biased. I had very few good teachers. There's a handful, and those that watch the show know who they are. But, I don't know, three good teachers in my life. And you wonder why it is I stopped going to high school. Well, let's talk about school and the problems of these institutions. Post-millennial reports. A Connecticut teacher who resigned after a viral video showed her making violent remarks about Trump supporters is now considering entering politics. Oh, great. That's what we need. Psychopaths. Annie Dunleavy, 30, was previously a special education teacher at Chapman Elementary School in Cheshire, Connecticut, and left her position after her controversial video led to public backlash. In the video, Dunleavy made statements such as threatening to leave Trump supporters on a stretcher forever. Don't test their gangster on her, she said. Just because you won doesn't mean we don't remember who the F you voted for. She said, I'm so serious, nobody effing talked to me unless you want to swing. She went nuts. After the video went viral online, Dunleavy was put on leave shortly after she quit her job entirely. In the aftermath of the viral video, Dunleavy was interviewed by her local news aide about the incident. There, she issued an apology and was also asked if she would consider running for office or getting involved in something that would perhaps lead to change, instead of posting videos online. Yes, I think that venting on social media was my initial thought of how I could make a change and how I could share my views, and clearly, that is not the right way to go about it. She says, I hope that people know I am not a danger. I would never hurt anyone. I have never hurt anyone unless my safety was in danger. Okay, I'm going to pause you right there, lady. You're literally saying they put you in danger and you're going to cross arms or whatever? You are nuts. She says, I was basically saying I was not going to go down without a fight. I will fight for myself. So when they make the argument that Donald Trump is pushing dangerous and violent rhetoric and all of that stuff, and it's transgenocide or whatever, then they say, I would only defend myself. We know the game. You get these BLM Antifa people out in the street smashing things. And when they're burning down buildings, they say it's self-defense. And you say, what are you talking about? You initiated this. They say the system is violent against us, so attacking the system is self-defense. They are lying to pursue violent means. And this is where we currently end up. You've got this video where a teacher was secretly recorded on a profanity-laced rant against Donald Trump, suspended. You've got this story. This is comparing Trump to Hitler and saying a concentration camp in your lifetime. Let's talk about schools. Let me throw it to the first failures of our schools with this guy on X, Will Jaff. Will, I hope you one day read a book. Will Jaff has a decent amount of followers, so good for him. I assume he plays poker because he's followed by a bunch of poker players. You can see here we got Skull Mike, Nick Airball, and 8 others you follow. It looks like he's followed by Hustler Casino Live. It's probably how I bumped into his posts. Matt Berkey, of course, also a well-known poker player. Let's dive right into this failure of our education system. Jeff says, serious question. If it was possible to take 2/3 of this and put it towards healthcare, education, and housing in this country, what exactly would be the downside of that? Would everyone suddenly lose their drive and motivation to innovate? He would still have over 100 billion. LOL. First, Will, what does that mean? Like, let's break this down. What does $347.8 billion mean? Do you think that is cash? Do you think there's cash sitting in a bank? Yo, this is a wild thing for a dude who plays poker to say. And I'm assuming he plays poker. I don't know if he actually does. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But when I see that who's he followed by? 8 other, well, whatever. He's got Matt Berkey, who responds with, obvious issues are, it's mostly illiquid. 200 billion wouldn't accomplish in a fraction of what you're hoping it would regarding these social programs. Yes. He then says, it would be a start. No, it wouldn't. Do you know how much teachers make in this country? Oh, man. How much do teachers make in this country? Well, it varies, but it's typically very low. Now, I can do some quick math, and we'll look up total amount of teachers, total amount of U.S. teachers, and the number we get is 3.8 million. So currently there's an estimated 3.8 million from public, private, and charter schools. So let's just do some quick math and say we're going to liquidate. What does he want to do? He wants to take half of it. He says if we took 2/3 let's just call it. You got 35. Let's call it 112 billion. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 220. Let's call it 225. 220 billion. All right. 220 billion divided by 3.8 million. And, I got to put dollar signs in there. Otherwise, it's giving me nonsense. I mean, it technically did give me the answer, but what? Why is it still doing this? Billion divided by 3.8 million. And I think it's like $57,000. Oh, okay, I was right. It's like $57,000 that you would add to the salaries of teachers. Heavens to Betsy. That's a lot of money we can give to teachers. All right, let's play the game. It would be a start, no? Do you know how much teachers make? Well, Will, did you look at what Matt had to say about it being illiquid? That means Elon Musk's net worth is largely tied up in SpaceX, Tesla, largely Tesla because Tesla's through the roof. So let's talk about what happens if you try to liquidate $220 billion of Tesla stock overnight. You can't. And let's just say this. The U.S. government comes out and says, we're going to introduce a program where we're going to liquidate Elon Musk's holdings in Tesla by force over a long period of time so that we can pay teachers a higher salary. Let's not even say $57,000. Let's say they're going to do $20,000. It's a good raise, right? It's like 60, 70% raise on average for a lot of these people. The value of that stock would instantly go to zero. Okay, not literally zero. But see, this is the problem with our schools. Here's a guy being... He has no idea what he's talking about. One person says, what do you think? Why do you think you can take his money? He says, I don't, or I would happily take it. I think he's one of the biggest losers in the history of humanity, and I would love nothing more than to take every penny he has and spread it around. But that route doesn't seem particularly feasible. These people don't know how any of this stuff works, and it's crazy. Okay, let's say Elon Musk was legally able to actually break down his wealth and just start ripping it from the company. As soon as Elon starts selling, the way stocks work, okay, I'll give you a rudimentary view. Most of you know this, but Will doesn't. Is you have people who say, I'm willing to buy at this number, and other people say, I'm willing to sell at this number. Why right now is it very hard for Bitcoin to break 100,000? It's because a lot of people have a sell wall. So, call it whatever you want. There's a wall of sell contracts available saying that if Bitcoin reaches 99,500, sell my Bitcoin. So every time someone puts in a bid saying my max offer is going to be 100, it hits 99,000 and then drops back down because you got 10 people. One guy says, I'll sell for $9. Only one. The next guy says, I'm going to sell for less than that. So the way it's, for more than that. I don't want to sell for less. Tons of people are concerned that when Bitcoin hits 100, it'll fall. So they set their sell contracts just below this. So every time someone buys, it keeps staying around that number because there's tons of contracts available. Once the demand exceeds the amount of people selling, it will go over 100,000. So what would happen? If Elon, now can put into Elon's stock, what happens? If Elon started selling like crazy, the amount of people who are willing to buy is lower than the amount of sale contracts available. So the value goes down. Elon Musk's net worth collapses with every share he sells. And then his net worth doesn't exist. And you can't even apply $220 billion. But if schools taught people anything, maybe they wouldn't be going out and confidently saying stupid things. But the reason why I bring this guy up is because he said we should pay teachers more. Why? The system is completely broken. It's clearly not working. Since the launch of the Department of Education, the United States has dropped in standards ridiculously low for a country this wealthy. It does not work. This guy says, I usually enjoy your takes, but can you give some examples of him being a loser? To which he responds, just look at him, the way he acts. He's a massive effing loser who is absolutely desperate for the approval of others. I don't care how rich he is or what he's done. You can feel free to judge him on any criteria. Personality-wise, he's the absolute bottom of the barrel. Was this dude a high school bully? It's like the kid who's like the leader of the debate club, but is nerdy. And he's just like, you act like a loser. That means you're dumb. You're socially inept, so I'm cooler than you. It's funny because that says a lot more about this dude's view of what makes someone a loser or not a loser. When he says he's a loser because of the way he acts, he's basically saying he acts the way he does to try not to look like a loser. I got news for you, dude. The definition of loser is not some dude who acts weird because he's kind of, I don't know, on the spectrum or whatever it is. Pretty sure the definition of loser is a person with no passion, no pursuit, no confidence, and who's really dumb. I'm not saying that's him or anything like this. I'm saying this is a product of failed schools. This guy went through the American education system, has no idea how the financial system works, has no idea how the government works. And I say his argument about schools makes it oh so perfect. Do you have any idea how much teachers make in this country? Not a lot. And you know what? They should make zero. We should be getting rid of these institutionalized learning facilities that have failed everybody. Why is it? Why? Tell me why. That we have so many teachers who are just plumb nuts calling for violence. Why is it? And I'm not saying every teacher, there's millions of them, but there's a handful. And maybe fine, you just say, Tim, that's negligible. Okay, fine, throw it out the window. Why do kids say, quote, school sucks? And don't give me your BS. I watch kids every day skateboard, and they love it. They don't know what for why. They're a little 6-year-old kid is put on a skateboard with pads, and he's riding around, and he's having fun. Because he's being told by his elders and by adults, this is what you should be doing. The problem is, when we put kids in these institutionalized learning facilities, the teachers mistreat them. They do. It's a fact. Kids hate their teachers. On average, kids hate schools. They hate their teachers. Maybe private, nice schools, they don't. Kids in public schools hate school. They don't want to do their homework. It has no bearing on their social lives. It is never explained to them why it's going to be a benefit to them, and they have no reason to do it. Strangely, though, you go to a kid and you give them proper social reinforcement and they love what they do and they cheer for it. And that's where you can see it in skateboarding and sports. Not every kid wants to play sports. It's true. Not every kid wants to do what their parents tell them to do. Totally get it. But I go to a skate park and what do I see? Little kids trying to skate and people are clapping and cheering and they keep trying. I see schools where they're punished and insulted and demeaned and the kids are like, I hate being here. So that's a problem, isn't it? Because we're raising generations being told this is a painful thing for you to do, not a fun thing for you to do. And then we talk about, yeah, but if you get a good teacher, yeah, spare me, dude. You want to know my beef? Because I grew up in this education system. I mean, most of you did too. And I left. I left at 14. Yep. Now I'm successful and I run a successful business. I have done quite a bit. I created apps, created video games. I've done quite a bit in my day. And I've traveled all over the world, and I've done more than most people could dream of. And it's because I'm not going to say that it's just because I was lucky or anything like this. Hard work. But the fact that I was willing to leave school at 14 and stop wasting my time, I think is a good example. Now, one thing that they don't tell you when the left tries to insult me for having left school early, what they don't tell you is that I completed 4 years of high school by the time I was 14. And then when they say, aha, he dropped out at 14, he never went to school. No, I finished 4 years of high school at 14. I stopped going to high school, took a correspondence homeschooling class where we did 2 weeks of American public school education per day. And I finished. And I'm done. And that was it. Meanwhile, I looked at what the other kids were doing. They hated their teachers. They were goofing off. It was a waste of time. They learned nothing. And many of them got out with no skills. You're 18 and you don't know, you've not had a job. It's remarkable. We have to put an end to this insanity. I'll wrap it there. Next segment is coming up at 6. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Become a member over at timcast.com to support our work directly. And we'll see you all then.